Okay, so this is how embarrassing these Lomachenko detractors are, bro. You know, it's to the point now where if Lomachenko doesn't win every single round in a fight, people are calling it a robbery. If he doesn't have a if he doesn't win 10 plus rounds in a fight, it's apparently a robbery now, which I find fucking laughable. It was a very clear 8-4 Lomachenko last night. I have to be honest with you guys. You know, people get a lot of hate in boxing. Canelo Alvarez because he's a steroid cheat and a piece of shit. Floyd Mayweather because he was a coward who ducked everybody and it was a pussy-ass piece of shit in and outside of the ring and a terrible human being. Adrian Broner for being a piece of shit human being in and outside of the ring. Tank Davis for being a piece of shit human being in and outside of the ring. Bernard Hopkins for being a fucking scumbag inside of the ring and being a con artist. Andre Ward for being one of the biggest shit stains in boxing history, commentary and inside the ring. So people get a lot of hate in boxing. I have to be honest with people get a lot of hate in boxing, and quite a few of them are very, very justified, okay? I've never seen a guy in all of my 30 years watching boxing, I've never seen a guy who gets so much unnecessary hate than Lomachenko. Ever. I've never seen it. This guy gets so much hate for wanting to fight the best, being a multi-weight champion, and being a former pound-for-pound #1, being a former unified champion, going to his country and defending his home and enlisting in the fucking military when his country gets invaded. I've never seen a fighter that does the things any real man would do. I've never seen anybody get hated on like that before. I've never seen it in boxing before. The amount of hate this fucking guy's gets for being a great fighter and being a good human being is just fucking mind-boggling to me. I mean, it is to, like I say, it's to the point where if Lomachenko doesn't win 10 or more rounds, people are calling it a fucking robbery. I mean, it's just an embarrassment, people. The fact of the matter is, Lomachenko is one of the best fighters, top 5, post the Floyd Pacquiao era, okay? And pound for pound. And he's still a current top 10 pound for pounder. There's not too many 3-weight champions in boxing. Lomachenko is one of them. And unlike guys like Abner Mares and Riel Casimero and some of these other dudes that got vacant titles for fighting retards, or Adrian Broner, or, you know, a handful of these other guys, Lomachenko fought good fighters for his titles. He fought an undefeated Gary Russell. Rocky Martinez was a bit of a, you know, wasn't that great to win his title at 130. And then he beat an undefeated Gary Russell and a great featherweight fighter. And then he beat a reigning prime, dangerous, excellent 3-weight champion in his own right in Jorge Linares. Okay? Not the version that Devin Haney fought, the prime reigning champion killer. I've never seen a dude in boxing get so much fucking hate for doing the right things, consistently fighting the best available opponents. And if you want proof of that, go look. And let's get something else out of the way. Lomachenko never lost to Orlando Salido. And I say that Teofimo edged the fight out against him. Teofimo won that fight. But the scorecards were ridiculous, and he did have a fucked up shoulder. Like, that's just the facts, people. And when you really break it down, guys, the fact of the matter is, a lot of these channels and boxing fans hate on Lomachenko because of this color of his skin. okay? If he was a bling-wearing fucking ghetto-talking American, they'd be all over his dick. But the fact that he's a humble man, he's a See, we're in such a fucked up era as a people. We actually downplay the humble man, the family man, the working man, the guy who does the right thing, the guy who enlists in the military, the guy who loves his wife and his children, the guy who wants to be the best at what he does. We actually look down on that as a society nowadays and big up the bling-wearing, shit-talking, pimp-fucking degenerates. And I've always said this, boxing is a microscopic version of what's going on in society. It always has been. The 20s and 30s. The 60s and 70s with the civil rights. Like, the 80s and the 80s, everything's flashy. The 90s, gritty. Like, boxing has always been a mere reflection of society on a smaller scale. And this is no better example than the amount of hate, uncalled for fucking hate that Lomachenko gets because he's one of the best fighters in the past era of boxing, and he fucking. I mean, it's just unheard of, bro. Like I said, there's been plenty of guys that get hated on and shit on and all that, but most of them were justified. But I've never seen a guy get so unjustly hated than Lomachenko. Never in my life. And maybe the people that grew up in the Muhammad Ali era with Muhammad Ali as an example could say otherwise, but I'm not going to get into that. That's a whole nother discussion for another time. But I've never seen anything like it. If this guy doesn't win every single round, it's called a robbery. If he takes a tune-up fight, he's fighting a bum after he's already done so much in the sport, has been so proven. I mean, it's just fucking asinine to me. It's fucking hilarious to me because it just goes to show how full of shit people are and how little people really do know about boxing. You know, a couple years ago, this guy was the pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world. And another thing, wasn't the entire narrative going into this fight that Lomachenko was coming off a layoff? And while I agree that it wasn't Lomachenko's best performance we've ever seen from him last night, it was against a much bigger, very skilled, undefeated fighter, and he still won the fight. The narrative is just, but we're going to big up a guy like Tank Davis, or Dudu Andrade or Charlo, who none of whom have done as much in boxing as Lomachenko and probably never will do. Wilder. How do you big up Deontay Wilder and shit on Lomachenko? That is a flaw in your mental well-being as a boxing fan as it stands. Okay, but like I say, I have never, ever in my 30 years watching boxing see a guy get so much uncalled for hate. I'll say it. But like I say, wasn't the entire narrative going into this fight that Loma was coming off a layoff? He was just off in a war-torn country. He was enlisted in the military. As Lomachenko stated himself, he was enlisted in a patrol unit that patrolled the city after dark to make sure there wasn't any intruders. Wasn't that the entire narrative going into this fight? So even if he didn't look the sharpest, and he was coming off a layoff, and he was in a war-torn country where there's a fucking war going on, doesn't that fit into what these dudes were saying in the build-up? Bradley and Andre Ward and ESPN. And real quick on the commentary last night was also fucking atrocious. Andre Ward's usually always bad, and I have the greatest respect for Tim Bradley. I really do. I love that guy in and outside of the ring. But it wasn't a good night of commentating for Tim Bradley either. Like, let's just keep it real. And God bless Tim Bradley. I hope he's, well, one of my favorite fighters of that era. Shout out to Tim Bradley, but he didn't have a great night of commentating either. But, I mean, the thing is this. When Lomachenko gets Devin Haney in the ring, he's going to fuck him up, bro. And all of you dudes are going to look fucking dumb, man. Because he was coming off a layoff. He was coming from a war-torn country. He is 35 years old, and he took a tune-up against an extremely skilled, undefeated fighter that's much bigger than him. And he just opted out of the military to come fight again. That's a man's man, people. That's a man amongst men. That's not Errol Spence or Devin Haney fighting in one weight class against guys that are smaller than them, that are half their size their entire career. You dudes have no fucking principles, no logic, and I will destroy you fuckers in a boxing debate because you don't know shit about boxing. You don't. You don't know shit about boxing. Like I say, half these dudes that have these channels started watching boxing when they was 25. Boy, I was watching this shit when I was 6 years old. I was boxing and fighting already when I was 6, 7, 8 years old, doing karate. You dudes don't know shit. And yeah, I'm the chubby Italian that ain't in shape and smokes too many cigarettes. Yeah, I'm past it. I'm over the hill, done. Like John Fury tells you. But guess what? I know more about boxing than you do. And the hate you press on Lomachenko is the most uncalled for, laughable shit I've ever heard of. He clearly won the fight last night, people. It was an 8-4 fight. Lomachenko won. Devin, get your fucking bitch ass in the ring and do it before Lomachenko goes, plants his foot back in the Ukraine and gets back into the military and shit. Let's do it in spring. April. You both got a nice 6-month layoff, or time to prepare. Do it in April. And we're going to fucking find out, you cocksuckers. With that being said, man, this shit is just laughable to me. I hope everybody's having a good India and taking all 3 of their O's, mind you. How many undefeated fighters? And please be sure to hit the like and subscribe. That being said, everybody have a wonderful day. God bless you all, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Salute.